Hello again, you're watching News 360 from the News Hub, and still on COVID-19. Director of Reconstructive Surgery and Burns Unit at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, Dr. Opoko Wariampoma, says Ghana is very likely to take a big hit of COVID-19 cases in the next few weeks. According to him, Ghana's rate of increase in confirmed cases over the next first 12 days exceeds that of its continental neighbors. Let's speak to him via Skype as he's asking Ghana to enhance its strategy to deal with the pandemic. Thank you for your time, Dr. Mpoma. So, first of all, why are you saying that Ghana is likely to take a big hit of COVID-19 cases in the next few weeks?
Thank you very much. This is based on an analysis of the rate of increase in cases over the first 12 days. If you look at all the other African countries, at the moment, South Africa has got the highest number of cases. But then, if you look at the first 12 days, at the 12 days, South Africa had 62 cases as compared to our 68. Now, if you look at other countries like Kenya, Uganda, Gabon, that had cases, they noted their first cases at the same day as we did. You can see that our numbers have outstripped them. And then, if you also consider the fact that after His Excellency the President rightly instituted an enforced quarantine for all those traveling from outside the country into Ghana, you can see the number of cases that were picked up, even when they stopped the flight and when they quarantined everybody for those 2 days. So if you look at how many, if you extrapolate that, you can see that quite a number of people would have slipped into the country in the preceding days that have not been picked up. Thirdly, if you consider the rate at which this infection can be transmitted, if you take the case of Korea, for instance, their first 30 cases, they were able to trace them, but there was a 31st case. That single individual accounted for over 5,000 infections. That single individual was able to spread the infection to over 5,000 people. So this is not meant to frighten people, but it is meant for us to have a realistic projection of what could be happening on the ground. And the way South Korea was able to overcome it was to be able to test vigorously and extensively. They've performed over 300,000 tests. At the moment, our testing capacity is limited, and the distribution of our testing and also even the waiting time, etc., is also a challenge. So at the moment, basically, it's like we are flying blind. And I prefer that as healthcare managers of the system, we should rather, I think, assume the worst, not to frighten the public, but we should assume the worst and prepare for it so that in case that happens, we are not caught off guard.
All right, Doc, so how do we enhance our strategy? The president has already announced some measures to deal with this pandemic. How do we enhance our strategy so that we don't get to the situation where we'll hit countries like Italy, China?
Exactly. So this is why it calls for an all-hands-on-deck approach. There's not a single. We need to be able to do all the basic things and do them well to be able to get a good chance of being able to overcome this threat. Now, so that's where individual responsibility is very important. So the president has made the right call. Earlier on, he advised us to close down schools, advised us to maintain social distancing, etc., etc. But there are a lot of people within the country who have still not appreciated the seriousness of the president's message, and this is where other society groups, the media is very important here, civil society groups, professional bodies, academia, all the grassroots, organizations should all get on board to make sure that they are educating the individual, because the power lies within the hands of the individual. The president can make all the directives, but it is up to the individuals to take up the challenge and then make sure that they are obeying these rules so that people do not congregate. As we've seen today, there was a lot of traffic in town, people crowded in the market still trying to do last minute buy, etc. And this is a recipe for dissemination of the infection, and some people are even trying to go to other places. So it's very, very important that the individuals play their role. So those If you have to stay at home, stay at home. Don't say that, oh, I'm making one last dash to the barber shop or to, go to a party or to do all sorts of things. It's not important. Anything that is not urgent should be forgotten about. And let's wait out this period. And then it's also important that we enhance availability and access to testing. So the labs are very, very important. And I think that by this stage, we should have had collaborations with other labs, apart from the two main labs that are doing the testing. We should have had collaboration with the other labs like MedLab, Lancet, who have got the capacity to be able to have scale up. And then the institutional labs like teaching hospitals, etc. Because now that we have community spread, it's very important that even at facility level, we should be able to make some of these determinations, because people are still coming for emergency surgeries. Pregnant women are still going for delivery cesarean sections, and potentially healthcare workers will be exposed to all these potential, and that will further spread the infection. So it's very important.
Thank you very much, Doc, for your time. And I've been speaking to Dr. Opoko Wariampoma. He is Director of Reconstructive Surgery and Burns Unit at the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. You're still watching News 360 from the News Hub. Coming up is Mission. Foundation, with thanks to Danida, UK Aid and the EU. Infrastructural development in the Tempane district of the Upper East region has been the Assembly's focus. The District Assembly currently operates from a community-based planning and services center. The Tempane district is one of the youngest created in 2018. The poverty-ridden district was carved from the then Garu Tempane district at a time infrastructural development was a challenge. 2 years on, not much has changed. The District Assembly, for instance, operates from a structure earmarked as a CHIPS compound. The facility lacks space. Other state agencies, including the Department of Food and Agriculture, the Health and Education Directorates, which has been supervised by the Assembly, face similar challenges. The District Chief Executive for Tempane, Paul Azuma Bugui, said government has started addressing some of the infrastructural gaps.
This is a CHIPS compound, and that is what we are using to host the District Assembly. And as you can see in front there, we at Assembly decided to build 15 room accommodation for the District Assembly. But the central government is building one-story building just by the fire services ahead, and then they are at the foundation level.
The Assembly depends solely on government allocation for development, as internally generated funds rarely benefit the district. On health, the District Chief Executive said the country stands the risk of recording more cases of coronavirus owing to porous borders. He said due to the improved healthcare system in the district, residents living in neighboring countries come through unapproved routes to seek healthcare. Tempane borders Togo to the east, adds Sinkase and Burkina Faso to the north.
Our health system is far better than what pertains in neighboring Togo and Burkina Faso. So the slightest severe sickness that they get, even common malaria, they cross to our place here. And most of them also have this national health insurance. So they come to seek for medical services free of charge through our system. That's where the fear is.
Tempane currently has no hospital, so residents rely on a health center and CHIPS compound for their immediate healthcare needs. Smuggling of fertilizers to neighboring countries for sale is another setback to the development of Tempane. Most farmers in the district are beneficiaries of the Planting for Food and Jobs program, but fertilizers allotted to farmers are frequently smuggled out of the country, thereby defeating the purpose of the program. The district chief executive, however, said smuggling in the area cannot be eradicated.
I've been saying this. If anybody tells you that fertilizer smuggling can be halted in this part of our place here, the person is not being truthful. We can bring it to a minimum, barest minimum, because people buy Yara that is not planted for food and job. It's not planting for food and job fertilizer. It's a normal fertilizer, and then send it to Burkina Faso. And you cannot be at the entry points are so many. We have our security immigration, and then soldiers at the various entry points, recognized entry points, but so many routes.
For farmers, getting adequate water to do irrigated farming is their priority. As the country prepares to go to the polls in December, residents of Tempane would want political parties to feature policies and programs aimed at improving their lives.
The Mamprugu-Magduri District Assembly in the Northeast region has constructed and put to use a community-based health planning and services center at Nangruma after an expectant mother in labor lost her baby 2 years ago due to lack of a health center, but roads in the district remain unmotorable.
Nangruma and 4 other communities are hard to reach, especially from the district capital, Yagaba. These communities are referred to as overseas because of their location. Overseas communities are common in the Mamprugu-Magduri district, but the case of Nangruma is exceptional. Social amenities are scarce while the community is also cut off by the Sicily River. In September 2018, a 22-year-old Hafiz Doris, who was in labor for 2 days, could not get to any health facility because the only way out was by crossing the River Sicily, which had overflowed its banks. After a communal mobilization, an attempt was made. She was transported to the Yizesi Health Center on a motorbike riding for 19 kilometers but fainted thrice. Eventually, Doris lost her baby. The district assembly thereby constructed a CHIPS compound but could not be used for 4 years because there were no equipment and health personnel. After Doris's ordeal, the assembly has put the facility in use.
The facility was already there, but it was not furnished with medical equipment to take care of a patient. When it happened, and as at the time that you call, there were already procurement process in place to procure medical equipment to furnish the facility. So it isn't that the incident pushed us to go and furnish the place. They were already, plans were far advanced to procure equipment to furnish the place, to make it functional.
The people of Nangruma have been relieved, but another challenge in the district is unmotorable roads. Government's efforts to give roads in the area a facelift has hit a snag as contractors have abandoned site. Portions of roads connecting Walewale, Mamprugu-Magduri and Fumbisi are not in good shape.
The time is coming. They will raise the ban for the politicians to just come. When they come, we will tell them, if you don't construct our road, we will not vote for you people. Or we should just write a letter and go and give it to the police. No politician to come to Yama, Blubia, Micho, Zoa, Bimbini to do campaign. Because we use our life for you people. We vote for you people. Nothing changed.
But the district chief executive holds a different view.
So we don't just go to pay a contractor when the work done does not grant the raising of a certificate and you say that you have not been paid. They have to work to a certain level, and then the roads and highways will come and look at it. That problem will be solved. That way, the issue we will now be looking at is the highway robbery, and it is a security issue.
An assemblyman for one of the 6 electoral areas in Yagaba believes much has not been done by governments to improve the lives of residents.
If they are saying Yagaba is a district capital and we don't have good health care center, it's a pity. In terms of our road network, politicians should put it in part of their manifesto. Our agriculture, they should put it, not giving money to individual.
A concerted effort to address the plights of deprived districts of the Northeast region is a priority of electorate.
And that's it for Mission. Mission is supported by the Star Ghana Foundation with thanks to Danida, UK Aid and the EU. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, let's do some more news. The Bank of Ghana has served notice to all financial institutions to ensure they trigger a business continuity plan with a minimum staff number. According to the BOG, the institutions must ensure that their doors are open to the general public while all payment platforms are functional. This includes all banks, savings and loans companies, finance house, rural and community banks, microfinance institutions, and forex bureaus. Now, the notice signed by the Secretary, Sandra Thompson, reiterated its call for all financial institutions to adhere to all health and safety precautions related to the COVID-19 pandemic. The general public has therefore been cautioned to refrain from panic withdrawals and adhere to all the safety tips approved by the health authorities. We have more news coming up. Stay with us.
Ago, good people of Ghana. Here are some safety measures on prevention of coronavirus. 1.